YouTube live review. Now, you're going to have to bear with me here because it's going to get crazy. This is why probably nobody's tried this before, but as they say, or as I'm about to quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So, we're going to try this. We'll see how it goes. You guys will get to know a little bit about how I do the process, but I came on 2 minutes early because I'm so military specific that I wanted to start on time to go over some ground rules. One, I don't know how many comments I'll be able to get to because I want you guys to keep in mind this is a review. So it'll go in the live section of my channel, and then people are going to want to reference this review. It may just be one person or a bunch of people, but they're going to want to reference this review to look at purchasing these items for either this release or future releases or stuff on eBay or stuff on websites, etc. And speaking of websites, modeltrainmarket.com is a new sponsor to this channel. It's an additional sponsor. We're trying to bring in stuff that I know you guys will like, and they are someone that has provided a quote for me for my collection, and compared to others has done a great job in terms of way better estimates than other competitors they have. So if you're on Model Train Market and looking for stuff, like I said, eBay, new at ScaleTrains.com, whatever, that this review will be for those people and you. So I want to keep it somewhat concise. So we're going to proceed as normal. If I see a question that jumps out at me, we're going to go ahead and answer that if I can. So you may see that I'm a little more animated than normal. I promise you, I can pass a drug test. I'm not an alcoholic. I am just really thrilled to be with you guys and do this for the first time. And you're going to have a lot of background noises and things like that. Somebody's texting me right now, probably to annoy me that watches this video. But there's going to be background noise. You'll hear my family up there because I'm not working around that at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. Comments are already glitching a little bit, but I'll try, if there's a question related to the product only, answer that during the review. But for the sake of the people that are going to be looking at this review later on, we're going to stick to subject matter of the ScaleTrains SD40-2 and the SD40N. Now, you may wonder about packaging. We're going to have to skip the unboxing, but the box has not changed, at least in recent years. You have this SD40-2 box. I have everything on a tripod. I'm going to flip it around if I can figure out how. Yep, there's the button for that. And this is a DCC and sound locomotive. We also have the Norfolk Southern version. Here is the manual, SD40-2. There are 31 functions listed. Hopefully this still comes in 1080p, but 31 is sound fader, on back to, your 0 for headlight, 1 for bell, etc. So let's talk about era real quick. These SD40-2s came about in 1974 or 72, and they were made until 1984, and they're still on the rails today. Matter of fact, the SD40N, did I say 70? See, there's things like that. The SD40-2s. The SD40N is actually a rebuild. It's UP has their own rebuild program. If you're out there on the rails looking for the SD40N, you can look for things like PTC antennas, fresh seals around the windows and doors, stuff to kind of indicate that these have been rebuilt, horn placement, air conditioners on the cab. Those are typically SD40Ns. And if you're always curious, you can go put in the road number to the internet and see where it designates SD40-2 or SD40N. So with that said, let's flip this around. We're not reviewing my ceiling, I promise. Here are the models. So out of the box, you guys can use your imagination for the unboxing portion of this video. I don't know why comments aren't coming up. I was hoping to see them. Let's see, live chat. Okay, there we go. So, see if we can zoom. This is all new for me. I don't do a whole lot of live stuff. As you see on the left, UP number 1972 is an SD40N. you can tell by the PTC antenna array as a spotting feature. Your cab air conditioning unit there. If you were seeing this in real life, you could see that the door seals are fresh and it's got kind of a fresh look, or fresh rebuilt look, but they've been doing them for a while. You got your snowplow, MU hoses, coupler cut bars, ditch lights below the anti-climber, MU stand there. You've got separately applied grabs on the nose, sand filler hatch, your headlight, and number boards are LEDs. So that is always good because we're in LED world now. Hobby's been in LEDs for a while. I won't tell you which companies were lagging behind, but it wasn't ScaleTrains. You've got these very finely detailed windshield wipers that are etched metal. You have a cab control stand on the inside. And you have my camera trying to not focus. But there's a cab control stand on the inside. A little hard to see currently. You see all the compartment detail, including that three-dimensional door there, battery box doors. You got jacking pads on the truck detail. Your brake actuators, fuel tank. There's a lot of underbody detail as well. On the rear here, you got your radiator fan grill section, your dynamic brake fan sections in the middle, along with your dustbin hatch up front and your exhaust. As you can see, horn placement is different on the UP. It is aft of the dynamic brake fan section. And on the NS, you have it up front. And we're going to kind of switch over to the NS. So every time I see the camera going out of focus, I will help it along. I don't see many chats, but I'll keep an eye on that. All right, let's see. So one other difference, you can see that old hatchet style brake versus your brake wheel on the NS. Obviously, antenna configuration difference. On the roof where the cab AC unit is on the UP, on the NS you just have an ice skate antenna, a couple ice skate antennas. Your blower housing here is on both units. And again, dustbin hatch, exhaust, dynamic brake fans, radiator fan grill area. On the rear, you can see there's ditch lights on the UP, and there is not on the NS. But you have that nice snowplow front and rear. Looks like actually just rear on the NS. And you have really nice silver-tipped end details in your coupler cut levers. So there is a quick 360 of the two locomotives. So far, I think I'm doing okay. Maybe actually better than my real reviews. But there's another look at the NS. All right, we're going to transition here. You'll have a little bit of camera movement because this is a live review. But for now, we can actually just pivot the camera. And we're going to weigh these. Right now we're in grams. 519. Okay, that's 1 pound. I don't know why somebody's trying to call me during a live stream. 1 pound, 2.3 ounces, 18.6 ounces, 17.6 fluid ounces. That doesn't matter. 519 grams. So if you're a model railroader and for some reason you have my number, please refrain from texting and calling because, well, I didn't think about that. And I forgot to put it on silent, and I didn't know if that would mess with the live stream. But anyway, 1 pound, 1.9 ounces, and 507 grams. So pretty much same weight there. So very robust for a short locomotive. Again, as we get back to pounds, it's over a pound for just this short axle locomotive. If it's still considered short axle, right? So one thing I do in takes a lot, and sometimes in videos, is I say so a lot. So. Let's get all the so's out of the way. So we'll move on. All right, we're going to reposition over to the rails. So you guys are going to get a brief look at my messy train room as we reposition over to the rails here. All right, and the NS is on the tracks, and I've got my handy dandy NCE Pro Cab ready to go. And I'm going to select locomotive number 3 because that is the standard. If you don't know, that's basically what every brand new out of the box locomotive is going to go to. So we'll listen to some sounds real quick. F8 on this ESU LOKSound decoder, DCC and DC. So if you're a DC model train person, you can run it on DC, no problem. But we're running DCC here. All right, comments just come and go, so I'll apologize. I'm not ignoring you, but they will not stay up on my screen, no matter which selection I hit. So we're just going to have to go through. If I miss your question, be sure to ask it in the chat. Replay, it may pop up, or just put it in the comments of the video, and I'll try to go to it. All right, so 1 is bell. 2's horn. Now this ESU LOKSound decoder, this is the first time I'm hearing these units because I pulled them out of the box, but I didn't do anything with them. That horn is excellent. The sound profile is excellent. There's no speaker reverb. It's just really good in my opinion. So let's look at slow movement real quick. This thing's crawling along. However, I think I have a, slightly off the rails there. Crawling along pretty well. That's 1 out of 128 speed steps on my NCE Pro Cab. I'm going to set the AccuTrack 2 speedometer in front. We're going to let that go through, see what that registers. Give it just a second to wind up here. So people ask about this AccuTrack 2 speedometer. I think they stopped being produced, but there's another version by somebody else out there. I forget who it is. I want to say Model Railroad Technology or something the company's called. But it simply registers 2 points, gets you the scale miles per hour. Even though it blinks down in kilometers, it's actually scale miles per hour, 187 scale, HO scale, 0.9 scale miles per hour at speed step 1. So we have almost a perfect 1 scale mile an hour. But the real important thing is actually that this is running smoothly at slow speeds, because that makes your operations and yard switching or whatever you're doing on your model railroad realistic, a lot more realistic when you do so. So in reverse, it's also operating just as well. But what about the UP fans? We need to take a look at the UP version. A little bit of lurch in reverse, but not much. So we're going to pop this off. When you pop it off, you notice there's a capacitor in there. All right, pretty good one. About 4 or 5 seconds of air time there. Kind of like my air balls when I'm shooting from way out past the 3-point line. I come from a long line of non-athletes in my family. All right, so UP SD40N. Okay. We're going to go F8 again. We're going to swing around this camera here as we take a look at the lighting. Already not digging the angle here. There's your headlight, but if you look below the headlight here, there is a little slit, and it may look like it's pulsating or flickering. That's just the camera frame rate. This thing is solid. That is a walkway light. You also have truck lights, and you have ditch lights, as you can see there. Now UP's ditch lights do not flash. NS, if they had them on this one, I think they do. Yep, under the anti-climber there on the front, they do flash. And ScaleTrains is really good about that. They will absolutely nail that every time. They don't one size fit all anything. So you got lit number boards back here, your headlight, ditch lights, walkway lights, all LEDs. Okay, and now let's listen to a few more sounds. Let me try to get some out of here, because I don't know what I'm talking about in a lot of cases. Alright, so beacon, if applicable, which is in this case, is 7, so we'll skip over that. But number boards can be individually controlled. Your dynamic brake lights, or dynamic brake lights, see? This is the good stuff. Dynamic brakes are F4. So when I start moving this, you should hear a whine. It is very subtle, I hear it. I don't know if you can. But this decoder is very responsive to the moves. And as luck would have it, my wireless NCE per cab's battery just died when it's been good for months and months. It should have been my first indication to have that ready to go. So we'll just switch to this, but quick horn check there. So switching to another pro cab. We got the engine room door on F23. Have you heard that? Very subtle sound. You can have manual notching up and down with F26 and F27. We've done that with the prime mover, so we'll skip that. Drive hold, if I hit F9, my throttle essentially becomes something that handles the prime mover notching up and down. So if I move this at speed step 5 or 6, and then I hit F9, it's going to lock in that speed step, and then my throttle is going to start increasing or decreasing the RPM of the prime mover. And speaking of which, the SD40N, I think, has a little bit of like a 50 horsepower variance from the SD40-2. So there's some improvements there. But, so that is how drive hold works with ESU LOKSound. Now there's also ground lights, I believe, but I'm not going to go turn the lights off because that can be dangerous live trying to walk around here in the dark. But I'm going to give you a top-down view of these locomotives here. And we're going to point out, obviously the PTC antenna array is nicely done. I see a lot of manufacturers over-pronouncing. They over-pronounce these PTC antennas or the ice skate antennas. And when you scale them up, they're like 6 foot tall. And they're just not that way in real life. Another really nice touch is the fan grills and the fan on the AC unit. You have a grill on the exhaust. You've got your dustbin hatch with the tiny grill present on there. There's lift rings, I believe. I'm actually, yeah, I see a couple small ones back. They're kind of hard to see, but they're back here. You got a sand filler hatch there on the rear. And that nice see-through detail of the fan grills on the radiator fan and the dynamic brake fans. You got the 2 and the 3. So I tipped it off the track, so that's going to reset the decoder outside of that capacitance of a few seconds. Now I'll let you listen to motor noise real quick. We're not going to do coupler height. I looked at one of these off screen. It was good. The front one was just a little off, a little low, but we will do pull test here. I'm going to hook this pull test up I've got to go to unit till we're at ounces and zeroed out. Got to go back and grab this Pro Cab here. We're going to be real quiet so you can listen to any motor noise. I said be quiet, decoder. There you go. Probably hearing floor squeaking. That's what I got to work around every day that I'm down here. All right. So very low motor noise. Just probably could be just the friction on the tracks. So that's good. Pull test is 3.8. It's capping out at 3.83 is the highest I've seen it. And I will tell you, don't mean to sound like our president here, but I have 80 coal porters sitting on the tracks, or 71 to be exact. And I bet you this will pull all of those. Even though this is coming in at about 45 or 50 cars, those coal porters run like a dream. So we're going to switch back over here for a second. If you don't believe I've got 80 on the track, you got to go look at my last review. Got to get this junk out of the way. Hoarder extraordinaire. And we're going to put this SD40N on the far side track here. We're going to make sure everything's on the track, which it is. We're going to grab this, fire it up. If I move these out of the way for you, you can see the beginning of the coal porter train, 80 cars, fire it up. And we're going to break the necks of the engineers by moving this thing out a little faster than it should. And I hit F8 again. You hear the prime mover notch up. If you look real quickly, you can see there's a rear walkway light too. Here are 71 coal porters easily being pulled by one locomotive. So it has pretty good pulling power. Now, don't get me wrong, these coal porters run like a dream, but some of them have weights in them because I had made a mistake and thought they were derailing because of weight, but they were derailing because a switch was barely thrown in the last video. But these are pulling no problem. And this is going to serve as your run by. And we're going to wrap this review up as we take off with these coal porters, and I'll try to see if I can see comments, but they just keep going away on me. They'll pop up for a second, then they'll go away. Some messages, I said all messages, there we go. Try to scroll through these real quick while this is going by. 88-foot nose variant. I shouldn't tell you this because you're going to be competing with me, but I want one more of the SD40Ns that I should have pre-ordered. And on October 10th at 5 p.m., ScaleTrains closes the pre-order deadlines. So for anybody that unfortunately could not swing it and couldn't secure their pre-order, pay for their pre-order, they're going to release those units back on the internets, back on the website of scaletrains.com, so you can go and see those. I'm sorry that there's ads on the live stream. I don't know what that's about. I don't even know how they do ads on the live stream without getting behind, so YouTube finds different ways every time, guys. I'm sorry about that. I can literally turn ads off on the channel, and YouTube basically retains the right to still run ads, regardless of what I do. So I apologize for that. If you look at the little EOT there on the back coal porter. But yep, these have worked their way all the way around. There might be 70 because I took one off for a Train World short. Oh, that's the ugly part. There's stuff everywhere. Let's go back here. But this train is now working its way back around. And that is going to be the review of the ScaleTrains HO Scale SD40-2 in Norfolk Southern and the SD40N in Union Pacific. We're going to pull this locomotive up, and I'm going to do my best to have an accurate, realistic stop using their slow speed control. So it's going to creep up here while the NS remains derailed, like NS does sometimes. Mostly CSX. Well, whatever. Everybody chooses a railroad to make fun of. But that's the review of the SD40-2, HO Scale, ScaleTrains.com. Check them out. See if I can get this right here. Probably would have stopped short of the switch, but I didn't. Life goes on. So there is your review. Again, October 10th, 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm guessing. The rest of the units that were not secured because somebody unfortunately couldn't purchase them because they were, financially distraught, or if they're just being a turd and ordered one and didn't want to pay, those units will go back on ScaleTrains' website. So if it's sold out now, check it after that date and time. Give me at least a couple hours to buy mine. Just kidding. And be sure to try to get your second chance. If not, ScaleTrains does have select retailers. You can check them out there. That has been the review of the SD40-2 and the SD40N. Thank you guys for watching. Again, sorry for the ads, not in my control, and sorry for not being able to see the comments. Lots of gremlins tonight. We are in October, so they're coming soon, but they should have been 29 more days away. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.